So today I'm going to be doing phase 1 of the Fit After 50 workout, and phase 1 is basically doing full body workouts. So we'll be working all the major muscle groups. We'll be doing this workout 3 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll be eventually doing it live. It'll also be on demand. So muscle groups that we're going to work on would be the chest, will be the legs, will be the back, will be the shoulders, the biceps, and the triceps. So we'll work all of those major muscle groups. The chest and the legs and the back are really considered large muscle groups, and eventually we'll want to tax those muscles a little bit more than the smaller muscle groups because they are bigger muscles, and you could typically use more weight on that particular muscle group. The idea is we'll be doing the first phase for a month, and then after the first month it'll be a similar workout each week, but we will be hopefully adding some additional weight, which will change the workout a little bit. On the second phase, and this workout will be a total of 4 phases. The first week or the first month, phase 1, will be basically getting your body ready for the next phases. I'm assuming everybody watching this workout is about over 50. I'm also assuming that you haven't been working out very much or at all. And so this first phase will basically just be preparing you. You could jump into phase 2 once phase 1 is complete if you want to skip this particular workout. And really, I think during the first phase, you can join in at any point. There's no need necessarily to have to start over on the first week. You could probably jump in at any point because we'll be doing relatively lightweight. We'll be doing full body workouts and 3 days a week. And so these really aren't going to be taxing you. They're just going to be getting your body ready for the additional phases. So with that being said, for each exercise, we're going to do what's called 2 sets. Within each set, we'll be doing 15 reps. It's important for you to choose a weight that you feel like isn't really going to tax you very much on those 15 reps. And so it's going to be a little bit of an experimentation for you to figure out how much weight it is for you to use. I'll be giving some suggestions based on the weight that I'm using. I don't consider myself terribly strong, but I have been working out, so that might give me a leg up for some of those others out there. But it's really going to be experimenting that first week to figure out kind of what weight you're comfortable with, and then you can, from that weight, the second and third weeks, then you can start to gain, or you can start adding additional weight. All of the workouts that we are going to be doing don't require any sort of special equipment other than dumbbells. So I'm assuming that you have dumbbells. If you don't have dumbbells, well, there are probably some modifications that you can make. For instance, we're going to be doing bench presses. Instead of a bench press or a chest press, you could probably do push-ups instead. For the back, you could probably do pull-ups instead of what we're doing. Yeah, but pull-ups are pretty tough. So yeah, the legs, you could probably just do squats instead of squats with weights. But really, if you're going to start weightlifting, you need to have some equipment. And the minimum that you should have is at least dumbbells. Okay, so I think that covers mostly everything. We are going to do 2 sets for each exercise, and between sets, we'll probably give ourselves a minute or so. This workout's going to take a little bit longer because I'm going to be explaining things a little bit and taking a little bit more time. Later subsequent workouts in this first phase won't take quite as long. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with the bench press or with the chest press. We're going to be doing this exercise on the ground. Really, what the benefit of doing the exercise on the ground is it kind of gives you an assist. So I'll show that to you in a second. So let's go ahead and lay down. and we're going to lay down on our back. Now, the weight that I'm using for the chest press will be 35 pounds. I could do more than 35 pounds, but I'm going to be talking as I'm going through the exercises, and I don't really want to be straining all that much. I would say if you are in decent physical shape, if you're over 50, maybe you weigh somewhere in the range of 175 pounds or so, but you haven't really worked out very much, I would imagine you could do the same kind of weight. This could be a starting place for you to start, and if you feel like it's too heavy, right away you'll probably know it, and then you can go down a little bit. If you're kind of slender like me, I'm pretty slender. I weigh about 150 pounds, and so if you're over 50, weigh 150 pounds, haven't really worked out very much, you might want to go a little bit lower than this, so maybe start off at 30 pounds or 25 pounds. But really we're just getting a feel for this exercise and what kind of weight that we can do. All right, so, excuse me, Jake. Jake, watch out. This is my dog, Jake. Say hi. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the weight and we're going to put it up on our side like here. All right, and then we're going to lay down. We're then going to kind of do a little bit of a curl, basically to get that weight and to get that weight up on our shoulders. So we're going to take this weight and then we're just going to curl it up. And you want to put the weight here. So your hands are going to be kind of in a neutral position here. Now, what I talked about is giving you a little bit of an assist is, if you notice, my elbows are now on the floor, and I'm basically, the weight is being supported by the floor. Now you don't, when we're doing this exercise, you don't actually want to touch the floor, but if you do too much weight and it kind of falls to the floor, at least you've got an assist. So you've got a buddy helping you with basically the floor. You want to have your legs at about a 45-degree angle. You want to have your back flat on the floor. You don't really want to, you want to stay as solid as possible. So try to maintain good posture going through this, maintain your back on the floor. And when we do these exercises, we really want to, let me put this down for a second. When we're doing this exercise, we really want to try to maintain momentum. We want to maintain the movement. We don't really want to stop at the top or stop at the bottom. We just want to do a continual motion. It's called time under tension is what that's called. So the more time under tension that your muscles have, the harder that your muscles are going to work. And so you really want to keep those muscles under tension. And by having a continual motion, you can ensure that the muscles are under tension for the longest time possible. Okay, so I'm going to once again curl these up. And here we go. And now we're going to do 15 reps. So, and we're going to go relatively slow. So, we're going to do 1, 2, once again, maintaining motion, not putting your elbows on the ground. 3, so they should stop just before hitting the ground. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I really want to try to focus on your chest while you're doing this exercise. So really think about your chest contracting as it's moving this exercise, as it's moving the weights up. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Now, the weight that you really don't want to be struggling at that 15th rep. You really want to feel like you could do probably 20 repetitions without too much difficulty. But it's going to be, kind of experimentation to figure out what works well for you. But we're going to take about a minute break before we start the next exercise. So once again, we don't really want to be all that sore after this workout. In the next phase, you're really going to want to feel some soreness after you get done with your workout, and especially the day after. And a lot of times it's not the day after that the soreness is the worst, it's the second day afterwards. And I mean, you don't necessarily really want pain. You don't want to actually strain anything, like strain a muscle. But in order for you to build muscle, you have to break it down a little bit. The whole process of getting stronger and the whole process of building muscle is really breaking down that muscle. Your body will naturally, if you give it the right nutrients and you give it the correct rest or enough rest, your body will rebuild those muscle fibers and it will rebuild them stronger and larger than what they were before. And so it's a continual process where every week you want to break down those muscles a little bit more and get stronger every time is basically the goal. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do another set. So once again, I will take the weights and I will curl them up. And let's do 15 reps. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so that's good. I was feeling a little bit there at the end, but that's good. All right, so for our next exercise, we are now going to do what's called a squat. There's a couple of different ways of doing this exercise. So let me move my camera real quick. Okay, so there's a couple of ways of doing this exercise. I'm going to do this exercise with, instead of 35-pound weights, I'm going to do them with 25-pound weights. Or I'm sorry, no, 20-pound weights. So maybe that's something to go off of. Now, I have to explain something to you. 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with basically, it's an immune modulated disease. It's called Guillain-Barré. It turned out that I actually had the chronic version of the disease, which is called CIDP. Subsequently, over the next probably 2 or 3 months or so, I sustained pretty major nerve damage in my legs. It was really to the point where I couldn't walk. So because of that, I still have nerve damage. I've gotten a lot better, but I still have nerve damage in my legs, especially the right leg, which does make my legs quite a bit weaker than what they used to be. So even though the legs are a major muscle group and you should actually be a lot stronger in your legs than you are in your arms, turns out because of my condition, I really took a hit, and so my legs are not very strong. So I have to be careful with the amount of weight that I do on my exercises. So I guess the point that I'm making is you likely will be able to do more weight than I can. Some of you may, some of you may not. It just kind of depends. And so if you're using me kind of as a flagpole or as a barometer for the kind of weight that you should be doing, probably the bench press or the chest press was probably a good barometer for those of you that have been, kind of working out a little bit. The legs maybe not so much, so you might actually use a little bit more weight on your legs than what I'm going to be using, but it's some place to start. But the squats are a challenging workout, and so it'll definitely take your breath away. Even just doing air squats, doing 15 air squats might actually tax you a little bit. It just depends on the kind of physical shape that you are in. So that being said, and I might mention my condition on future exercises because there are some limitations in what I can do for certain exercises, and I'll I'll let you know about that when that happens, and if I'm making a modification because of that, I will let you know about that as well. Isn't that right, Jake? Okay, so now we are going to do our squats. Now there's a couple of ways of doing squats. Once again, I'm going to be using 20-pound weights. Oops, this is a 10-pound weight. I don't want a 10-pound weight, I want a 20-pound weight. Okay, the way I'm going to do the squats is I'm going to take the weight and I'm going to lift it up like here, and I'm going to put the this portion of the weights, the bottom portion, they're going to be touching each other, and the top portion is just going to be kind of sitting on my shoulder, so you can see it like this. And so I've got almost like a little shelf for them to sit on, which really doesn't, I think I'm pretty well supported here, so my arms aren't really overly tired. So that's the one thing that you can do, is do your squats this way. So from this position, you are just going to try to keep, as much as possible, your back straight as you're going down. You want to have your legs, your feet, a little probably more than shoulder width apart. So about like this. Ideally, you'll have your feet straight like this, as opposed to kind of out like here, like a penguin. But it does make it a little bit easier for you to do the squats when you have your feet in this position. So I'm not saying to not do that. We're all over 50 here, and some of us are probably quite a bit over 50. And the squat's a very challenging exercise. So really just do what you can in regards to your squats. If you find that you have some knee pain, you don't have to go down all the way as far as I'm going to go down. But maybe you will even go farther down than I am. But what I'm saying here is just to be careful with this exercise. It can be difficult on the back, it can be difficult on the knees, and so really you just want to not use as much weight initially as maybe you think you can. Just give it a shot and then see how it goes, okay? So let's go ahead and do the first couple of reps like this. So I'm going to bend down. I'm going to try to keep so I'm going to do one really slow here. So I'm going to bend down. I'm going to try to keep my back straight. I'm bending at the hips, and I'm going to be in this position right here. That's one rep, and then back up. And so that's one, okay? So that's really kind of how you want to do the exercise. So 2, 3, and you really want the weight on the heels of your feet for the most part, as opposed to the balls of your feet. 4, and you really want to feel your hamstrings and your glutes are really engaged when doing this exercise. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Whew. So that was just 20 pounds. And yeah, the squats, even just doing air squats, this is a challenging exercise. I'm out of breath just from doing that. So a lot of people, I think some people, when they tend to work out, sometimes they ignore the legs. The legs, the glutes, all of this in the lower body, they should make up somewhere over 50% of your body weight, really. Well, I think that's wrong, numbers wrong. It should be way over that, actually. I think it's like 70%. I can't remember what the number is. But really, the glutes are the strongest muscle group, should be, in the body. And so you really want to work on your glutes. Your glutes are the source of power for so many things. And your legs are, if you don't have any legs, you can't get around, right? So you really need to focus on your legs and work out on your legs. That's something, especially as we age, that you really need to try to make sure you continue to work on your legs and increase the muscle growth on your legs and try not to lose too many muscles in the legs. All right, so we're gonna do 50 more reps of that exercise. All right, so we'll have the weight up, and I'm just gonna do them straight on here. So get the weight up onto my shoulders. Oh shoot, I forgot to tell you the variation of this exercise. Okay, so some people might find that the squats are a little bit difficult to do. I already mentioned, you know, this position right here is not necessarily a great position to be in, sometimes for your arms. Also, keeping your legs straight, keeping your feet straight is also somewhat difficult, right? You kind of have them splayed out a little bit. That can make things a little bit easier. But one of the variations on this exercise, which is a really nice variation, it's called a sumo squat. And in a sumo squat, basically you have your legs a little bit wider. You have your feet splayed out, something like here. Now you can hold the weight like this if you like to, and then you can come down, okay? And I can actually feel, my back feels actually a lot better. So I could sit there for a while on the sumo squat position. So let me show you from this position here. Once again, the legs are a little bit wider. The feet are splayed out. And yeah, I don't exactly know why this seems to be a lot easier. Maybe it's the less weight, because instead of 2 of these, I'm only using 1 of them. So you probably would have to increase your weight a little bit. But yeah, you just go down and go into this position and then come on up again. Now you can also hold the weight like this if you choose to. So some people do the sumo squats like this. I think some people can do them like this as well. Hold the weight like this. Sumo squat, you could hold the weight like this. Sumo squat, but this one it kind of hits the ground. So there's lots of ways, lots of variations for the sumo squat. But it's a really good variation. It's easier to do than a traditional squat. So it's not something you might want to do. All right. I'm gonna get a drink of water. Hold on a second. So we're gonna go ahead and do our next set of squats. Get a little drink here. All right. All right, get the weights up to my shoulder. Once again, like here. And here we go. 1. See, I felt a little tinge in my knee there. This is not an easy exercise. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Woo! Man, I really feel that. Boy, oh boy. Okay. So we've now finished the second exercise, which was our squats. So we now have worked the chest and we've worked the legs. Really what you're really focusing on is this glute muscle back here. And you can feel it after you've done those squats. You can feel your muscle kind of tight, your glutes kind of tighten up a little bit because you're really taxing that muscle. It's great exercise. And also your hamstrings, you're using those a lot in the exercise as well. So really, as you're coming up, you're really focusing on that glute and those hamstrings, delivering that punch, okay? All right, so our next exercise is now for the back. So that's our third major muscle group, the really large muscles in the back. Okay, so I'm also going to use 20 pounds for this exercise. Now, there's a lot of different exercises for the back. A really good exercise is this exercise called the, what's that called? It's called the left pull. Jesus, I gotta get the names of these exercises down. So it's kind of like a row, and and it's a dumbbell two-hand row. Is that what it's called? I don't know. So it's, you have your knees bent a little bit, and then you row, right? And you're really using the lats and the back to make that position. But if you notice, your back can be a little bit compromised because you're really not working necessarily the lower back. That's not the goal of this exercise. The goal of this exercise is the lats and the upper back right here. As you're pulling that up, those are the muscles that you're working right here. So it's almost like you're, like a bow and arrow. You're taking that bow and you're bending it back, right? That's really the feeling that you want. And you're keeping the elbow nice and close to the side here as you're pulling that back. And you can kind of feel, as you're pulling back, you can feel that muscle contract right in here, right? That's what we're really trying to work in this exercise. All right, but we don't want to compromise the back right here. And that, that can happen. I know when I bend, sometimes I get some back pain, right? And so I really don't want to be in this position right here, at least not today, where I'm putting this weight on my lower back. So we're going to kind of be doing it in a one arm style, and we're going to get some assist from this hand that's going to kind of touch the knee. It'll give our back a little bit of support, okay? So this exercise, we're going to go here. We're going to get down in this position right here, right? We're going to take that weight and we're going to pull it back. Pretty much the same kind of move, right? But now we've got a little bit of an assist on our back. Okay, so hopefully we won't strain that back. On this exercise, I'm going to use 20 pounds. Once again, this is a major muscle group. It's a large muscle, that back muscle, right? And so something I didn't mention is that for these major muscle groups, for these large muscles, when you do an exercise, it's going to be a compound exercise. So what I mean by that is you're not just going to use that back. The smaller muscles get involved as well because they help those larger muscles, and it enlists a lot of different muscles when you're doing that exercise. So for instance, when we were doing our bench press, right? Sure, it worked the chest, but what else did it work? Right? It also worked the triceps, right? So when you were pushing, right, that tricep was being worked. What else was it using? It was using your shoulder. So as you were pushing that dumbbell up, your shoulder was being worked as part of that exercise. So this is a compound exercise. That bench press actually worked all of those muscle groups. And that's something we're going to get into a little bit in the next phase, is working all of those different muscles and working them all on one day, and really hitting those muscles hard so that you're going to get sore, and hopefully you're going to be able to build some muscle or some more muscle. Okay? So our next exercise is for the back. Okay? And so what we're going to do, and you could actually, I didn't really think about this. You could actually take a little more pressure off your back. I don't think you necessarily have to be in this position right here and make that move. Once again, this is a bowing move. You want to feel that coming backwards. You could actually probably do it right from this position right here, and get similar results. So I'm going to give that a shot and see how I feel about that. Okay, so one hand here, one hand here. You want to keep the back as straight as possible. Try to maintain good posture. Try to feel like you're planted into the ground with this knee and these feet. You don't want a whole lot of movement going on. No movement. You want to stay nice and solid. And back. 2, 3, 4. So the only benefit that one of the benefits that I can see, I can actually already feel it, is when you do this exercise in this way. This is almost a compound exercise because it not only works your back, right? So when we're doing this exercise, we're working our back, we're working our biceps as we're pulling that muscle, pulling that weight back. So this is one of those compound exercises. But when we're actually like this, what else are we working? We're working these legs, we're working these glutes, actually both glutes, as you're maintaining that position. So this is actually pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna go 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Whew. Yeah. So yeah, after we did those squats, oh man, I'm feeling that in the glutes and in the hamstrings. That's a really good. It's really actually a pretty good exercise for the legs too. So maybe on the second round, maybe we'll just stay low. Okay, so we did the right arm first. Now we're going to do the left arm, or not left arm. We're supposed to be working the back. So we're going to focus on the back. Now this is one exercise I have a little bit difficulty with. I've actually had surgery on my left big toe, and so my left big toe doesn't bend. It just can do this. So yeah, it's really difficult for me to get into in a lunge position. Okay, so anyway, get here, and got the knee being supported. Try to have good posture. Try to keep your chest up, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you really want to feel, once again, feel this contracting and pulling. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, almost lost my balance there. 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, whoo. Man, I'm feeling it in the legs and the glutes. Man, that's tough. Okay, let's take a little break there. Whoo. Boy, oh boy. Okay, so we did 2 exercises there. You could almost consider them 2 sets, but they're different sides of the back, so we get to do it again. All right. Okay. So this one I'm going to just do with my knee on the floor. Try to not tax those legs too much more. Okay. So we'll do, once again, the 20-pound weight. Or I'm going to do the 20-pound weight. And I really want to feel, can't emphasize this enough, you really want to feel, you want to not have the elbow going out like this. You want to keep that elbow close to your body, right? And you want to pull with your back. I know the bicep is going to be doing some of the work, but you want to feel your back pulling back. You want to feel this muscle contracting and pulling back, okay? All right, here we go. Try to keep that back nice and straight, and pull, pull. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. Now we got one more to do on the left-hand side. All right. We're gonna switch. And once again, I'm going to do it from the ground. It's actually a lot easier on my on my toe and my foot. So yeah. Okay, here we go. And we are starting. Once again, focus on this part of the back right here. Think about a bow. Think about pulling that bow back, okay? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, how does that feel? Yeah, I feel it. I definitely feel it in the back here. I definitely do. Oh, whew, legs are tired. Okay, so we have worked the major muscle groups so far. We have worked the legs. We have worked the glutes and the hamstrings in the back. The back of the hamstrings, or the hamstrings. We have worked the chest. And while we worked the chest, we also worked the triceps and the shoulders, right? And we also worked the back, which also worked the biceps. But everybody likes to have nice shoulders, nice biceps, and nice triceps, right? So we're gonna work those smaller groups, muscle groups as well. Okay, so the first exercise that we're gonna do is for the shoulders. And the shoulders, the muscle we're gonna be targeting here is really, really small, okay? So if you do this exercise correctly and slowly, you're not gonna need very much weight at all, okay? So there's a number of different exercises for the shoulders. What we are going to, the exercise that we are going to do is a lift exercise. So before I go there, we worked on the legs, okay, and we worked on chest and we worked on back. The chest is what's called a push exercise, right? And when you push something, you are using your chest, you are using your shoulders, and you are using your triceps. That's a compound exercise. That push movement uses all those muscles. Pull. When you do a pull exercise, you are using your back and you are using your biceps, right? So there's a push, there's a pull. And so that's something we're going to talk a little bit more about in the next phase, because we are going to take those push exercises and we're going to put them all together, and we're going to take the pull exercises and we're going to put them all together, and we're going to work those body parts, those particular movements. We're going to do them on separate days, and we're really going to tax those suckers. Okay, so we're going to do shoulders. We're going to do what's called a lift movement, which is going to impact the shoulders. There's another shoulder exercise, which is really a great exercise. It's basically your dumbbell overhead press, this exercise right here. But sometimes we get shoulder issues, right? We get a lot. Shoulders are a very complex body part. And as we age, we all have arthritis in our various joints. And a lot of times it's difficult for us to do that movement overhead. But in this particular exercise, all we're moving our shoulders is up to here, right? And so a lot of people can do this more successfully than this particular exercise with a lot less pain. So there is what's called a front raise. There is a lateral raise. We're actually going to split the difference. So we're going to use a little bit of both. When we do this exercise, we're going to do what's called the Y raise, which goes right in between the front raise and the lateral raise. So it's called a Y. It looks like the letter Y, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do 15 reps. I would recommend that you use something relatively lightweight, because this will really tax the shoulders. I'm going to use a 10-pound weight. I'm actually going to use 10-pound weights for all of these smaller muscle groups. Okay, so I'm going to grab my 10-pound dumbbell. And I'll be in front of you here, okay? Now, I don't want the dumbbells swinging and you using centrifugal force, right, to put those up. I want you to move the weights. I don't want the weights moving you. I want your body to stay really solid, really still, no movement, right? I want those shoulders doing all of this work, okay? All right, so we're going to stand nice and straight. We're going to have Your hands in a relatively neutral position. You're going to be open a little bit, and then we're going to lift the weight up to about 90 degrees. You're going to lift it right up to your chest, and it's going to go, and then we're going to let it go down. And once again, we're not going to hold it up top. We are not going to stop it at the bottom. It's a continuous motion is what we want, but we don't want any sort of centrifugal force. We don't want your body doing this at all. We want your shoulders making this movement, okay? So let's start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I don't know if you felt that. So this is the first exercise so far where I felt a little burning in the muscle, right? So there was a little bit, just a little bit of pain there. It's actually a really good thing. That pain is caused by acid building up in your muscles, something called lactic acid. And so as your muscles get taxed, this acid will start building up in the muscle because it's getting tired and it's getting fatigued, and it's your body responding to that fatigue. Now the great thing about lactic acid is that can cause what's called testosterone growth, right? So as the lactic acid builds up, your body's naturally, it's going to start breaking down that muscle as part of that process. Your muscle is actually being broken down a little bit. So when that happens, your body's response is to go into that muscle and repair it. Also, the response is you're going to get testosterone. You're going to have human growth hormone that's going to be part of that response. And so all of these great things can happen in your body because of the fact that you're working out with weights. So a great benefit, it basically helps with the aging process. Your muscles will stay more firm, your muscles will stay stronger. A lot of times as we age, we get really weak and frail, and by building your muscle and by weightlifting, you can delay that as much as possible. Okay, so enough of that talk. Let's go ahead and go back and get some of that lactic acid going again. Okay, so here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, here it comes, I feel it, 12, 13, 14, and 15, right? So there's that no pain, no gain thing that you've all heard, right? That's kind of what it means. Without any pain, there's going to be no gain, right? If you don't have any pain while you're doing the exercise, and you don't have to necessarily have pain every time you do a set, right? But really you want to have pain. And okay, so for our first phase, I don't want you really feeling that much pain. You're just basically getting those muscles prepped and prepared for the next phases. But if you have a little bit, that's okay, that's good. So push yourself a little bit. As we get older, we don't push ourselves hard enough. And so that's really important to push ourselves, especially as we get older. All right, so we have done 2 sets of the shoulders, all right? So now we need to do our biceps. Okay, let me get a little drink. Okay, so we're going to do the old-fashioned curl exercise for our biceps. We're actually going to do an easier exercise than a standard curl, which is one where you could actually typically do more weight, and it's called a hammer curl. It's where your hands are in this position right here, and you're basically curling up and then back down again. Okay, this movement right here. So something that's really important when you do your curls. Okay, now you might actually think this is a real curl, but what I don't want you doing is I don't want this weight to really go that much above your chest. Let me demonstrate. So when you do a curl, okay, you want to keep as much as possible this elbow and this arm planted to your side, okay? You don't want, number one, you don't want to use centrifugal force and use your body and bring in that weight up, right? You don't want that. Okay, you want your biceps to do the work, which probably means in most of these exercises, if you do the exercise correctly, you will not be able to use very much weight. Maybe for some of the bigger exercises, you can use more weight, but especially for these smaller shoulders, triceps, biceps, you really don't need to use that much weight. If you look at actually some of the big bodybuilders and some of the guys with great muscles, for these smaller muscle groups, you'll see them doing a lot of reps, and you'll see them with not that much weight, but they're building those muscles because they're doing the exercise correctly. Okay, so we do not want your body moving the weight at all. We also want to keep this elbow right up against the side, and we don't want this elbow to move anywhere. If you go up, and if you see the elbow starting to move this direction, that is wrong. Is that your bicep doing that work? Is your bicep doing anything there? The point of this exercise is to work the biceps, not to work whatever this is. This is maybe a little your shoulder, maybe this is your elbow, working our elbow. This does nothing for us, right? It's all, and if you look at how far I can move my arm without moving my elbow, it stops right about here, okay? Maybe somebody that's a little more flexible can move it further. So really, when you're doing your bicep exercise, when you're doing your curl, you are looking at going right about here. That's the range of motion that likely most of us will have for our curls. And if you do the exercise that way, I promise you, you are going to feel your biceps. They are going to burn like the dickens, okay? I'm just gonna be doing 10-pound weights, and I guarantee you, I am going to be feeling it a lot more than if I did this. If I do this, I could do this all day long without feeling anything. But if I do it correctly, I will feel it. Okay, so if you want to get 100 pounds worth of dumbbells and be able to do exercises incorrectly with a lot of weight, knock yourself out. But a lot of times you don't need actually that much weight if you do the exercise correctly. Okay. So, here we go. So we're going to do this exercise. I'm going to do it in front of you so you can see where I'm going. We're going to do 15 reps of this exercise. And here we go. 1. And once again, try not to stop at the top. Try not to stop at the bottom. Continuous motion. 2. 3. 4. All the way down, all the way extended. 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Hey, it's Daryl.
Yes, hello?
Yes, hello. It's Daryl.
Hey, this is Ron.
Hey, Ron.
The boys are going to be down there in about a half hour anyway, so
Okay.
all that stuff you can't put out to them when they're there, but the ladies are going to
far as the weed thing, I would just point that out to them. But we always put wheat gird in, which is just as enough fat. It's kind of an exception right now compared to our competition.
So do you guys usually put the weed barrier down before you put the not the fill, but before you put the kind of rock material down, or do you usually put that weed barrier on top of that?
The guys will do it either way.
Okay.
Just to play, they'll do it either way. A lot of times, if it was me, because I'm a creature of habit, I always put it down before I put the crush band down. But there's a negative to doing it that way.
Okay.
Just putting it on top. And the negative is it is a barrier. It's a physical barrier between the existing soil and then the topper, right? So my guys in general, they tend to like to compact put it in connection with the natural base, and then put the weed barrier on top. So that way it makes the base more unified. It's more stronger, connected. Versus putting a layer between. And then just putting the weed.
I guess what I don't understand is because it looks like they put some weed barrier down, but they didn't actually put it everywhere. So I don't get that. I don't get what they were doing.
When they're there, ask them.
Okay.
Ask them, and I'm more than happy to put more weed barrier down anywhere you want it.
Okay.
So just they'll be there in a little bit, and then
okay.
Tell them that.
Okay.
If the case.
Okay. And they're doing the irrigation today too. Are they finishing that, or?
I think, as far as I know, they capped it. So is there rerouting that needs to be done that has not been done?
Well, no. You told me that they were going to you told me that they were going to rerun all the irrigation lines on the front.
So they should have already, according to Benny, and he's on the way there. I can only take it what he's telling me, but he said he already capped the irrigation system. So I'm assuming that was done, but that might not. This could be communication issue, but he said, because I asked him about irrigation, he said, yeah, I already capped it.
He capped it. He capped it, but that's not what you told me that they were going to do.
Well, they got to cap.
Okay, sorry about that. So on my testing, I got a phone call, so I had to deal with it, and then we ran out of batteries. So we're going to go ahead and do the, I can't remember, did we finish doing, I can't remember if we did. We're going to go ahead and do 15 more if we didn't. So we're going to do 15 of, the curls. So here we go. 1. Once again, keep. Well, we did 15 of them already. 2. Oh, we're doing. That's right. We're doing hammer curls. Okay. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. Got those done. Now we have to do one more exercise, and the last exercise that we're going to do is for the triceps, and these are called skull crushers. Yeah, and so if you if you do them incorrectly or drop the weight, you could crush your skull. So, disclaimer: please make sure you have a good grip on the weights before you do this exercise. Okay, so our skull crushers are basically going to go. You're going to have your same position that we were in for the dumbbell presses, the chest presses. So 45 degrees on the legs, feet flat on the ground, your back in a nice neutral position. You don't want too much separation on your back over in this area on your lower back. You want it nice and flat on the ground. You want to take the weight And basically the move that we're going to be doing is from this position here, we're going to slowly go down and then back up again. That's a skull crusher. Once again, you're going to do not that much weight. I'm going to be doing 10 pounds on mine. And you want to try to, as much as possible, keep your elbows close together, not to flay them out like in this direction when you're doing your skull crushers. You want to keep them close together and really focus on those triceps, okay? And you want to keep your hands, right? You don't want your hands to go this direction, right? You want your hands like this and like this is basically the movement that we want. Okay, and so here we go. 15 reps, overhead, and then down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. That was pretty easy. I didn't feel any sort of lactic acid built up on that one, so probably gonna have to get some additional weight on the next one. Once again, you're learning here. You're trying to figure out what weight it is that you can do, right? So you don't want to be feeling really tired necessarily at the end of the workout. You're just getting ready. Okay, here we go. Next set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm feeling now. Yep. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Yeah, so I felt that a little bit right at the end there. And so, yeah, that was good. I'm probably gonna increase my weight on the next workout. So probably I'm gonna go with the 12-pound weights on the smaller exercises, except for the shoulders. I really felt that in the shoulders. So both on the biceps. So you're gonna wanna write this down. That's something I forgot to tell you. At the end of each exercise, you wanna write down the weight it is that you thought was a good weight for you. And that's what we're gonna do on Wednesday. And then eventually the next week we might go up and weigh again. So anyway, that's it. Hopefully I'll review this and see how it was, and then I'll try again on another practice run. Okay, thanks.